What do you say? How do you say? I'm just but to see another day. I go by the name of Terror the Barber, and this is Razor Sharp Podcast. Today, we have an amazing guest on the pod. This man don't do too many interviews, but when he do the interview, you better sit down, be quiet, and listen. We have Morono in the building. Who is Morono? We have He's best described as the master barber, inventor, and innovator. Over the years, he has become a three-time U.S. patent holder, developing products and techniques that have transformed the barbering industry. Rather than simply upholding the industry standards, Morono has worked to redefine them. His mission to innovate has shaped the very foundation of has Innovate has shaped the very foundation of the uniquely engineered establishment known as, and the founder of the owner of the M1 Innovation Barber Studio, which we're going to get into that because people need to know exactly what that is, in Washington, D.C. He has created a timeless space that delivers high quality, professional, and forward thinking barbering services. And before we get it going, the high quality barber services before we learned who Morono was really unheard of to the standards that Morono holds. So we definitely going to get into that because what I see now is what a lot of barbers is doing to get those high ticket price points is what Morono has been preaching for over a decade. So thank you first and foremost, my brother, for coming on board to Razor Sharp Podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So first we're going to get into who is Morono? Not just the barber, but the man.
Well, first of all, I say I'm a person that tries, and I'm not even going to say tries, I upstand a very strong sense of integrity, honesty, trust, loyalty, and staying consistent. And that's typically, I say, the foundation of any good situation. And it's something that I haven't generally seen in the foundation of our barbering industry. But foremost, that's what I aim to uphold: the integrity, the dignity, the trust, in anything in regards to that is going to keep our industry clean and keep it just.
So, how long you been cutting hair?
Well, I've been cutting for about over 3 decades now. Over about 3 decades now.
Okay, and what got you into barbering?
Well, I got into barbering because I came up in the South and I had a family that didn't practice any type of religions at all. I mean, they didn't practice any type, not religions, but holidays. And
Uh,
barbering was something that when I went to school, they couldn't always afford to give me a haircut. So I got to a position of cutting my own hair. And at a young age, haircuts would have people say, your haircut look nice, you look handsome. So by me being really poor, I cut my own hair. And
mm,
what happened was I got good at cutting my own hair, and I got addicted to the way people would respond to the way my haircut would look. And the way that they would give me confidence is give me good compliments based off of how, he's handsome, he's nice, your haircut look good. And at a young age, that did a lot to my self-confidence.
okay. Where did you get your first pair of clippers from?
First pair of clippers, I probably say I had the guy that really I just learned from died 2 days ago.
Oh,
His,
sorry for the
his,
loss.
yeah, his name was Daoud. And my mother used to take me over his house and get me and my brother's haircut. And I think my first pair of clippers came from, I was fascinated to just look at that station and see those blades and the way that little machine in your hand and the way he was clipping the detachable blades on and the way that he can make a haircut look. So being poor in the South, that was an interesting thing to me. And I just, one thing led to another. I got to fooling with the clippers, breaking them apart, cutting my hair. Leave back then it was the high top phase, and I used to leave a line in the head, but fade it out, not all the way to the bottom because we weren't in digital gap or zero gapping back then, but it'll be all the way down so close, but you'll still see that shadow line. And that's how the
Mm.
clippers typically were operating at that point because the adjustables weren't like they were now. So I got my first pair of clippers from him.
Daoud, shout out to Daoud, man. Rest in peace to you, my brother. Because if it wasn't for you doing what you did and influencing Morono, then it wouldn't be a game changing movement that we have right now. So we salute him. and we thank him for all that he has installed into you. So as far as you being a youngster, getting into the barber thing, did you go to barber school first, or did you just just learn? How did you learn the overall technique of barbering?
Everything that I have ever learned in life has become a product of trial and error. I'm what you call an autodidact. That's a person that's self-taught. It's just a gift to be able to see something and know how to execute it on site. So
Mm-hmm.
what happened was I didn't go to barbering school. At the time I was coming up in the industry, you can get a master barber to sign your application. And once that master barber signs your application, I asked a million questions on people that came back from the board. If you drop the comb, what do you do when you shave? Are they going to ask this question? So I asked a million questions. I went to the board. I passed my apprentice test the first time. And then I went right back and then passed my master's. And I
Okay.
passed both of them the first time.
Okay. So as far as when it came to the written and the practical, right? Because in your state, do you have to take both?
You got to take written and practical.
How did you get prepared to take that written?
Um, Cutting off everything I was doing with my personal life and just staying focused, driven, not going out, not spending money, staying in the book, studying, reading, and just being like one-dimensional focus.
Okay. How did you get the book? And was it the Milady book then?
Now the book was I don't think it was called My Lady then. It might have been called My Lady then, but I got a book from people that I knew that were already barbers in the industry that worked at barbershops and already took the test. So I studied that test. They were telling me what parts to study more of. And
Hmm.
I focused on those areas where they say study more of. And I went and took the test and passed the test after that.
Okay. And how about the practical? How did you get prepared to do the overall practical?
You had to cut African American curly hair and then straight hair. So I asked questions about that. Straight hair wasn't the best at that time, but I practiced more and got really good at it. And it took two models. I got a guy that was a homeless guy that had straight hair, and a friend of mine that had curly hair, African American, and he also had hair because we had to shave the face.
Hmm. Okay. So after that, you got your license. Now you're a master barber. What was the next step for you?
Well, the next step for me is that pulled me away from Barber in Washington, D.C. It was a rough time. It was called City Under Siege, the murder capital of the world.
Hmm.
So at that time, that's what Washington, D.C. was, the murder capital of the world. So it pulled me from one point of my life and got me into a zone where I could be more safe and secure because a lot of drug traffic. It was a time when Rayford Edmonds and all of that was going on in Washington, D.C. So it pulled me out of certain realms and put me in a position to have more safety. I worked for a guy named Demetrius Chase in a barbershop called Perfect Cut. That was one situation I learned a lot about. It brought me to a point in life because I used to want to be like him. You know how somebody say, man, I want to be like you. And I
Yeah.
always, from that position, I learned not to never, ever say that because I was on my lunch break and a guy came in the barbershop and it was a tremendous time in the city. I was no longer doing things in the prior part of my life and got straightened up. And what happened was a guy came in the barbershop and walked into the barbershop, and the owner was sitting back there in the back.
Hmm.
And he asked, how is there any more spaces for any haircuts? He turned around on the phone and was talking to him and then turned back around, and the guy shot him in the head.
Wow.
Shot him in the head, and that was like one of the guys I wanted to be like. So at that point, I was like, you never know what a person is doing or what shoes they walked in. So you got to be careful about, your hand bigger than mine. I want to be like you, but I learned a lot out of that situation. And when I see him just laying in the back of that shop with his feet up like that, it just took me to another position of developing another part of how I think in life.
And what age were you?
I probably was at that time, may have been about 21.
Wow.
21, something like that. I
Wow.
think I was cutting 20, $18 a head. You were satisfied if you got 20 to 25. I might have been cutting 20 18, 25, 24 heads a day.
Okay. And what year was that? You think?
That was the early 90s.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, early 90s, yeah.
So how was the barber culture in DC? Because I'm from New York. So and me growing up as a youngster, I'm born '84. My boyfriend back when I was young, he was a barber. So I was able that a little bit. And then I had a lot of influential barbers. Me growing up as a teenager. So me coming into the barber game as a kid, I was in like late '90s, early 2000s. Um, you coming in a little bit earlier than me. What was barbering like in DC in the early '90s?
Barbering was like, we got three boroughs: Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, and Southwest. In every borough, there were no more than maybe 5 to 7 barbers that were known across the city in every borough who was known for cutting really good. You had to know how to cut good at that time. And I was one of those people that was not as strong as the people that had the names, but I always said to myself that I want to be better than him. So I
Mm-hmm.
always had that to aim for. And then at a certain point, those people that had those prominent names, my name was one of the names in Northeast Washington, D.C., that became really prominent. And I was one of the main significant factors in barbering, known for being one of the sharpest barbers in Washington, D.C.
Okay, so as far as the DC set, what were some barbers that we probably know that came out of DC that got well known in like as far as the trade shows go or getting their haircuts on posters? Who can we say? Okay, oh yeah, I've heard of him.
You're not going to typically, and it's funny, D.C. got a very private type of culture. The people different in DC at that time. It was just the way that people operate. But in our industry right now, it's not a significant factor that's in the state of the industry right now that's outside of me from that particular time. All those guys are probably old. They really not in there. They probably not making no noise on social media. But
Hmm.
as time went on, those guys faded out.
Hmm.
What kept me current is always wanting to become better, do what's new, and stay innovative. That's the only thing that kept me having that life and remove myself from burnout.
Okay, so from me seeing Morono early on, when I got into the barber industry, I thought you was from Philly. Even though I know that there was times, but the beard and your Morono and the way you present yourself, I always thought you was a Philly barber. And then I thought that you was down with the Major League crew. Was you down with Major League? Because I know that they from Philly.
Yeah, the reason that I look like that just based off of Islam, the background, like the beard, you typically gonna see that in Philadelphia. But in regards to that, I was never an individual that liked dealing with none of them shows, the
Hmm.
clicks, the people, and the likes of this. A lot of people don't know, but Major League is the individual. It's a lot of talk in the industry about Jay Major's show, Exotic show. Major League was the first initial show, and that's typically who a lot of them go to really get innovation from. Because
Hmm.
most people don't know Nori, because Nori also has a very kind of meek personality, is kind of quiet and calm, just based off of his background too. But Major League was the first show that I went to where I saw innovation in barbering around the world. Like when I first introduced that skeleton machine, I saw a barber on stage that had it. It didn't have a name or anything behind it, but it was going to a major league show that changed my life in barbering. But Major
Okay.
League was the first, just to make that clear, Major League was the first barber show that everybody, where you see these barber shows coming up at, that was
Mm-hmm.
the initial ground of all the barber shows.
Okay, because so I'm from coming into the barber industry in 2010, but before that, I'm from New York. The person who I seen do it was Kamal Nuru from Levels Barbershop, and he did the New York City Barber Battle. So once I seen that on the scene, I never been to a Bronner Brothers, even though I know Bronner Brothers was big. I heard about Proud Lady. I heard about these other shows, but me, my first initial introduction to the trade shows or a battle type event was the New York City Barber Battle. So I can only go from that pinpoint on. And
Right.
I've heard of Major League. I know that my mentor Morono always had spoke to me about Major Leagues and that group of people, and then interview people that was down with MLB. But I'm trying to get the understanding of the history. And again, Nori is the type of person that there's not a lot of interviews on him because I've been doing a lot of research. From what I've seen, the Major League clique was very big. It was from different states all the way going to the West Coast where they was doing shows all the way to Puerto Rico. So we're bringing the connection to all the different barbers that was affiliated with Major League because from what I'm hearing, Major League is the beginning of what we have now within the CT and the Barbacons. But a lot of people don't understand how that correlates to where it started from.
Yeah, that's was the introductions to the ones that preceded him now. Yes.
Okay. So you go into those major league shows. Were you very involved in it, or were you just going to them from time to time?
I was not involved. I went to the show with a book bag on my back. Anybody know me from that time? I carried a book bag on my back and I was taking a lot of notes.
Hmm.
So I seen at that point where I seen what barbering really was. It was a color back then called KSI. That was the
Yes.
introduction of the color that we see now. And what happened was I started to see and be able to talk to barbers around the world and see how people were like real, who was fake, how people were known for doing, people were prominent based off of doing design work, but really couldn't cut, didn't have real haircuts. So it made me look at barbering as like, if they getting this popular based off deception and what's not real, I'm getting ready to kill the game because everything I'm doing is reality,
Hmm.
right? And at that point, when I came, a person introduced me to Instagram when the introduction of that was out, and they said you can go to this app and put your haircuts in front of the world. I already knew how strong I was in the city, so if you can control your city, I know I'm gonna be able to control what's going on around me. So you can't figure this you can control outside if you ain't in control in your city, right? So I put my haircuts on social media and I started getting popular in the country, just as popular I was in Washington, D.C.
Hmm.
And in the RhinoComb, let me see, the RhinoComb was one of the first things I introduced. No, the skeleton. When I introduced that and cut it off on social media and got crazy numbers on it. And I called it that name and I gave it that name. I seen how many views I got off of it. And it
Hmm.
made me look at the companies are not really controlling what's going on. It's really us. So it started making me have a perception of the dynamics of how the industry was really moving.
Absolutely. So I heard you say that there was somebody else already at the shows that was doing a skeleton. What made you want to go back home to where you're from and to start doing that?
It wasn't people that was already doing it. It was one Spanish guy on
Hmm.
stage, and he had that Andes machine cut.
Hmm.
All right, and the piece right it had that cut like that, and they said it was the access the tension screw when they was in battle, so you could control the power of the machine.
Hmm.
It was nobody doing it. I saw it on stage, and I thought it was one of the most dope looking things that I ever saw. I came back home. I was in the kitchen, and I was thinking about my wrist with my bone hanging out my wrist and put it in front.
Uh-huh.
I said, I gotta give it a name. So I put a name behind it in a curriculum and I said it looks like a skeleton. And then I
Okay.
say, and I taught a curriculum, you can see over the blade, under the blade, you can order the heel of the blade, you can order toward the blade. The hair can't back up in the machine and insulate it to become hot. I
Hmm.
start cutting it, and then when I bought Todd from I Cut Pro Down here to Washington, D.C., we cut the machines, and that was the initial hike of the outliner going to $100. I
That's a fact.
introduced that.
Now, I seen you. It went from the skeleton, then you had the rubber grip on it that had this. I think it had the skeleton. No, there was a sticker, I think, or there was a rubber grip that had the skeleton face on it. That's what I seen.
Right.
Then from there, from there, I saw a lot of barbers just doing it themselves, like just taking a saw and just cutting it off, saying, "Oh, I could do that myself," damaging a whole bunch of clippers. I've seen barbers that did it just because they seen one thing but didn't know. I was always told never touch that tension ever, or the whole clipper was going to be bad.
Sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's true if you're not sharp. Right.
So you brought up the skeleton clipper, and from there you also brought up Todd. How did you connect with Todd?
Well, Todd was one of the dopest barbers that was on social media that can cut raw. I
Mm,
always say public eye barber, barber's eye barber, competitive eye, signature, being the highest level. I always operate at signature level. I cut at all levels. Todd was one of the rawest barbers that I seen that can cut real hair sharp. And
mm-hmm,
I seen myself inside of him. He seen the power of what I was doing in DC. So I told him, don't worry about nothing. Come down here. Don't worry about no money or nothing. You're going to be good. I got a lot of clientele. I'm going to push it in your direction. We ain't got no whole lot of barbers in Washington, D.C. to shop. Our city is empty because I know the culture of our city. He came down to Washington, D.C., and I had a studio. I used to like the name iCut Pro. I thought it was like a computer. I thought it was dope. I didn't have a name of my studio at that point. So while I figured that we were together, we were a team together because we were strong together in this town. Like two of the strongest barbers in this city, making the most impact in Washington, D.C.
mm-hmm,
I put the name on the door. It was fine. I didn't really worry about it was his name or my name because I thought the name was like iMac or computer, like
yeah,
iPod. It was just a clean, dope name. Use that name, and then we start moving from that point, selling the clippers like crazy. Then I had to put a
mm-hmm,
badge on it to single out what I did to the clipper because I figured a way to torque the clipper and make the clipper sharper when I introduced the blade liner.
mm-hmm,
So we used to do classes. I was teaching him the service side of the industry, how to charge properly for the designs. I was speaking about taking the numbers up way back then before they was talking about it now. So I got him to get all his numbers up. He got to be real prominent in the city, one of the sharpest barbers, I would have said, in the world when it come to raw work. I got
mm-hmm.
him down here, and then we moved and kind of controlled the industry pretty much.
Absolutely. So when I seen Todd, I seen you, and I seen I Cut Pro, and then I said, well, then I started to see the different shirts and stuff with the I Cut Pro. Then it was the logo. Then it was really there was a standard. Like anybody that said that they was part of I Cut Pro, you would know that that the standard of cut, the quality of technique, everything was going to be top tier. That everybody wanted to be a part of I Cut Pro. Even if they didn't, they would want to go to the classes. They would want to learn. They would want to be involved because at that time there was only Al Millions with making the cut and admin that was given a platform for barbers to learn a whole bunch of things. Other than YouTube having so many other barbers that was just doing videos like Kicking His Randy and Victor Barber and Alex Campbell, like those are the people that was online that was giving the information. But I Cut Pro really stamped it where it was professionalism at a to its teeth. So whatever happened between you and Todd, because now we see him doing I Cut Pro, but we don't see y'all as a group.
Well, what happened if we would have stuck together, if I would have stuck with him and we would have stuck together, we would have been running what's going on in the whole entire barbering industry. That's how
Absolutely.
impactful we were. But what
Absolutely.
happened was, I always try to deal with dignity. When it came to the business acumen and just like I was always used to having things and money at a point in my life. So I wouldn't get fascinated with certain things. So as things started moving, we started making a lot of money off our classes and stuff like that. I started doing all those videos, start causing traction, coming to all those service videos and start causing traction. And then as one thing led to another, um, people were signing up to do the classes. So it would be certain things that I would do in my classes that weren't not in my classes that I was teaching because it was like a lab. But I might not have been ready to put it out there in public yet because it might not have been at its peak or finish.
Uh-huh.
So people would come and say, for instance, that okay, I want to learn how to do the wedge enhancement. He wasn't really doing the wedge enhancement. He had maybe his way of doing it, but he would take and teach certain things without the permission of going through the way we had to put it out there properly. And then, money was coming in. And then I would create a standard like, you can't do that. Don't sell something that I'm not putting out there or that you don't do or I haven't taught you properly to do. So once I started putting those boundary points up to make sure that we was getting fair game, that money thing was coming in too strong, and he just really didn't have the level of patience that was necessary to operate as a group.
Hmm.
You know, so
Okay.
that was the big thing. I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but when it came to really patience and that money got involved, we were seeing some real good money earlier. And you know, he wanted to do certain things that me being in lead is not time to do that yet because this is not totally developed. We can't set this up like this. But he seen the money coming in and he just couldn't take it based off of how he wanted to move and broke tie. Because some things like when I created the linear dimension mirror, you started to see that slanted mirror in the industry.
Hmm.
But that was part of the communication of the invention, but it wasn't the ideal invention because the mirror had a 90 and then but through the conversation, he looked at it as one way, and that's just an example of showing you how things he was moving fast to do things, and things weren't developed because I was creating things and doing things that I didn't even realize how fast I was doing it. But
Hmm.
one thing led to another. But I understand patience, and I had to take my time, and I couldn't move with someone that just didn't have it.
I understand that. So with that, I understand that there was a whole bunch of standards that you created, and there was a whole bunch of things that was put out there, like the mirror. Like the first time I seen it was on one of your pages when you had the standard of everything was stainless steel. You was doing the steam. You was doing things that most of us barbers would never see at all. So I saw the standard where I need to focus on what Morono is doing and how he's doing it so that I could bring more of a customer service to my clients. How did you come up with all of these different formalities and techniques when it came to changing the full structure of how a workstation should be?
Okay, what happened was I'm one of those people that I am what you call a troubleshooter. People won't understand me because I don't look at what's right first. I look at what's wrong first. So most people may
Mm.
get intimidated by me because I'm always aiming at what's wrong. How can we figure out how to do something better and make it more easy or make it more comfortable? So
Hmm.
my position is not to be impressed by you first. I'm going to look at what's wrong first and make that situation better, come up with something better, give it to the world, and make things better for us. So what
Hmm.
happened was everything I did in barbering behind my chair, I pay attention to meticulous order with everything in my life, from the way that I speak, the words that I use, the way that I dress, the people that I deal with, everything. So the things that were hard for us, which the beginning was the outliner blade, the T outliner blade, the gray outliner blade. I had that secret for years. I just never gave anybody the information because it gave me an advantage in my whole career in DC in every shop I worked in. They wondered why my work looked better, it's sharp and everything. So what happened was I looked at the problems that we have in our industry, and I'm one of those minds that I'm not going to let up until I win. I'm
Hmm.
one of the type of people, if he get locked up, he going to be the person. How did he escape? Because I'm going to look at if he's snoring and his head moved back, the time his head. Like I'm going to look at everything, right? So I kept looking at the problems in our industry with the people, the tools, the classes, the services, the personalities. And then I started doing other than that. And the
Hmm.
thing that makes people uncomfortable is when you are not an individual that follows the pack.
Hmm.
So when I started doing things that seemed making changes, that made a lot of people, companies, personalities uncomfortable because it's a superficial light that's shining in the industry. And if he gets the light, I'm not going to be shining no more, which I don't care nothing about the light at all. I just want to give us what we need that's better than what we have.
Hmm. So I like how you say that you focus on the negative because you're trying to correct it. And a lot of people may say, because I've heard a lot of things that Morono will never have nothing good to say about none of these other Clipper brands. He's always focusing on what he's doing and how he better things, but yet he never could say that. Oh, this. Well, I've heard you say that there's different Clippers that work good with this and that, but maybe the blade or maybe this and that. But for those people that's out there saying that you always trying to compare what you're doing to what other companies are doing, and you always trying to shine more light on what you're doing than what they're doing, what do you say about that?
And guess what? If that's the person that probably just got familiar with me, because if you look at all through my lives, I tell you what Andis has good. I tell you what Bablis has good. I tell you what Wall has good. I tell you who the signature barbers are. I post barbers on my page. I tell you the negative and I tell you the goods of everything. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a position that an individual deals with resentment and envy because
Mm-hmm.
the evidence is clear. All you got to do is go to my live. I tell you everything that's good about Bablis. And I obviously got to tell you about what I do this well. And if I don't do something this well, I'm going to throw the whole thing away because I don't want a bad reputation. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to do and come back and give you something better. But I would tell you now what is good with every company, every blade, every clipper, and even every personality.
Mm. Have you had
Even
any?
Go ahead. Even though it is screwed up personalities that I may not be able to deal with at all, but I still could tell you something about his personality that's good.
Mhm. Have you had any companies that try to backlash you because you would say the things that's wrong about their tools?
Well, you had one company which is not really companies, but I think the Supreme guy, but that's not something that I even look at the tool at all. I'm not gonna say nothing bad about the tool, but I think he just, had something against the way that T-Pop was dealing with his tools and what I might say about him. But Supreme is probably the only company that I can say relative a tool, but that's not even a company that is I even it's not even in the front or the back of my mind.
Mm. So speaking about that, you are the main voice now of T-pop, and there's so many people that say, "Well, how come Morono leave Coco and go to T-pop when T-pop been doing nothing but doing the 50 Cent approach and ruffling feathers and coming at all of the big names like Chris Basio, 360 Jeezy, Jay Majors? How could somebody that's so influential in the barber industry go to somebody that's like trying to spearhead and disrespect all of the other innovators that's been doing things in the culture?"
Because they need to be exposed.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I went to him because I had the same voice and I saw through the makeup. I saw through the superficial personalities because when you're not acknowledged, there's a reason why this industry is moving slow. It's a reason why. Because the people that need to be on the forefront are not on the forefront, and the people that are on the forefront are not telling the truth. So I saw the same thing that he saw in those people. I knew what he was saying, but my sense of dignity just wouldn't let me go in there and aim at him. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? But I knew that what he was saying was correct. Typically 90% about everybody what he's talking about because we living in an industry that we see what's going on, but we scared to say it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I was one of those voices. I'm not scared to say it, and I see it. But what he would that's one of the reasons why I went because like you asked me when I left with Coco, we had a very good relationship in the beginning. But when I see certain things, when it comes to personality or money issues or things that's not coming out the right way or individuals that don't really understand the culture, because my gift is understanding what we need, what we want, and what we need to have. And when I see decisions that are being made and the tools are not coming out properly, people believe me because they trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot stand behind anything that is going to insult the integrity of my trust to the community.
Okay. So what do you say about people that say that you just trying to profit off of of over the controversy?
Profit over who?
You're trying to profit over the controversy as far as the controversy with what got TPOB so big before people known about the good tools. They were just going by what he was saying.
Oh,
He
you
had a
say if, if
mask
they
on. Yeah.
say if they say I try to profit over the
Yeah.
controversy,
Yeah.
guess what? I was given controversy before T-Pop showed up.
Mm-hmm.
I was controversial before T-Pop showed up. T-Pop just mentioned the names.
Mm-hmm.
I was already controversial because, like I told you before, I was going against everything in the industry already.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't profit off the controversy because if people don't know really what my mission scope is, they don't know what type of profit I'm receiving anyway because I'm not an individual that shows my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an
Okay.
individual that's signing the contracts.
That
I tell you
so
right now what Stylecraft has good, Baptist has good, Wall has good, Anders has good. Look at all my lives and I tell you the truth about everything.
so a question that's asked is, so how can the people you think need to be in the front get to the front?
I'm gonna answer that question like this. If you are holding on to the truth, you are not getting to the front.
Mm.
If you can tell a lie, you will get to the front, but you won't last long. That's how you're going to get to the front. That is the recipe for getting to the front. If you want to get to the front, you have to lie. You have to mix truth with falsehood.
Mm.
But if you want to remain constant in the industry, you have to tell the truth.
Okay.
That's the
So,
only reason that I'm at this point in my career. I don't supposed to be this relevant at all this time I get. Show me a barber that got my time and experience that's as relevant as I am. It's a reason why I'm relevant.
mhm.
Because I continue and persist on telling the truth. And people know what I'm saying, they just scared to say it.
So do you not mind not being invited to the table then?
I don't care nothing about the table. I don't care nothing about the table or what they say. You got to give me the flowers. I'm the individual say, okay, I planted the seed. I don't care nothing about the flower. I
Mm.
don't care nothing about giving you your flowers. I don't care nothing about the table because the people that sit at those tables are the same personalities. Those are the same people that want to be the celebrities. They want to be known for something. But the people that are in the underground of the industry, some of the best talents in our industry, they do not get acknowledged because in many cases, most of them can't really speak well. You know, companies look at who's handsome, who can speak well, who can tell the industry that this tool is good, even if it's not.
Mhm.
And those people that have honor and integrity that are good barbers, they not gonna do that.
Mhm.
I won't do it. So you can't pay me in the upwards of millions to do it because I can't get enticed by money because that's something I had early.
Okay. So who are some people that's in that's in the industry that's very influential, big people that you feel like there was just a misunderstanding that you think that could be corrected?
I'm not gonna say when I be careful whenever we use words, but when you say think somebody say you said somebody that had a misunderstanding
With
with me,
you that you think could be corrected?
nobody.
Nobody. And the only reason why I asked that is because I've been like the middleman for a lot of situations that have occurred lately, and I feel like it's always just a miscommunication. This person didn't understand where that person was coming from, or just the way that they was moving, and it was just this misconception of how things were supposed to go, and there was just no real clean conversation. And I say, well, I heard that side of the story, I heard their side of the story. There's always three sides to a story. So how can we come together? Because two people that I feel are very influential that need to be together. Me, I'm the kumbaya guy, and sometimes you don't gotta be kumbaya. But I just feel like this person is very important in the industry. This person is very important in the industry. We need both of them. When we have the Mount Rushmore, and when we come together and sit to take these photos as a group, there'd be people that be missing because of a bunch of egos or misunderstandings. So I was curious, who are some people that was in the industry that you think that those problems or those misinterpretations could be corrected so that we could come together as one?
I'm not going to expose the names unless I hear the names. If I
Mm.
hear the name, I can tell you, but I don't know suggestive what I may say. But what I'm gonna say is this: when it comes to that, we are living in a very superficial industry,
Uh-huh.
an industry that gives people prominence in life, really out and really doing nothing. Some people
Mm.
before barbering weren't important or looked at before they were a barber. So what
Mm.
happens is barbers give people a superficial light to become prominent and important.
Okay.
When you have I'll show you an example as it relates to basketball. You had Jordan to come in, Shaq come in, and then you say, okay, Shaq, Jordan, and then you get these super talents in basketball. Then you get this new talent that come in to get the SHIT in on what Jordan did or Kobe did, and the world sees it and the world knows it. Kobe not gonna get real cool with such and such because now the attention becomes off of Kobe and becomes the attention on this other person, but this person is too obsessed with the light. So
Mm-hmm.
most people in our industry have an obsession with the light in order for us to come together of some construction.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you have tribes that understand the reality of the same goal, That's the only time that it's going to happen. People that are of the same objective. But when you got somebody that's working for a company, and I'm an engineer, my background engineering, I can show you everything that I'm saying, which they can't because they don't know the trade secrets that I know. So by me being an engineer and knowing the background of tools, mechanics, materials, and all of that, I can go under a microscope, show you the evidence, tell you why zero gap is never made no difference, show you why this clip is better, why this armature is better, why such and such is better, and give you evidence. If you've been speaking a narrative for all these years and I just went against your narrative, you might have got offended if you aren't real, if you're not a real person, right? So now, in order to speak correct, you now have to say what I'm saying. But
Mhm.
you can't be looked at as saying what Morono says, because now it's going to look like you following Morono because you're looking like you wanted to be the person that was of importance.
Uh-huh.
So now I may get discriminated on because I have exposed mediocrity.
Hmm.
You
Okay.
understand? And that's what's
Yep.
really going on. So you got these personalities that deal with celebrities. You got a lot of personalities that can't cut hair good at all. So I'm the individual that's blowing the whistle on why are y'all looking at him and this person is talking nothing more about a celebrity? This person can't cut real hair, but this person is the one that this company is using to tell y'all to buy this clipper. And the evidence is clear with what I'm showing you.
Hmm.
And what majority of people know that what works. And this person is still lie about a blade and a clipper. And then we'll see that particular blade and clipper not be seen no more. We found out that it was bad. And now that same person with that company speaking a new narrative about a new clip or a blade. I lose respect for people like that.
Okay, so what's your thoughts on the way that Cole is moving with the conversations that he been having, the topics that he been bringing up, and at one moment of time there was a division between barbers as far as black barbers and other ethnic groups, excuse me, other groups of barbers,
You
just
said
because of the
what's code?
conversation.
What is code? Code. When you say
Cole cuts.
you say what about what he's talking about?
Yeah. How do you feel about the different topics that he been bringing up from I know you for the going up on your prices, but there's other conversations that he been having about the barber industry, things that he like and dislike, and I was just curious of, are you in tune for what he got going on, and do you agree with some of the things that he speak about?
Yeah, some of the things I do agree with, but when I look at people in their totality, I look at everything.
Okay.
If I got to a point of looking at them, I'm gonna watch every one of your stories and every one of your reels, and I'm gonna look at how you move. I'm
Okay.
gonna look at your association. I don't have nothing personal against him because he does talk in regards to some things that's necessary, but it's a lot of things that he may talk about that's insignificant
Mm.
that doesn't like the. I think he might be speak something about a bowl on your haircut or something.
Yeah.
Chili bowls.
Chili balls.
Most barbers is past that. That was something that barbers typically ain't got really a lot of problems with right now no more. They dealing with more enhancements and things like that. But that's like almost really an old narrative. And sometimes I may look at different pages and I may see how people, you know, act on their pages the way they just move or things that they do personally. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Outside of barbering. And if it ain't something that I can go to your page and actively pull from your page to make me better, I don't really stay connected to that page because I don't want a person's page to keep a negative perception in my mind about them. So I
Hmm.
remove them completely so I won't have a negative connotation about them. But overall, to answer that question, I think he's making some good points. But for what I'm on, it's not it's not the same.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
How about
but I think he's shaking up some things and making some good impressions, but it's not equivalent to what I'm doing at all.
Okay. How about I know I seen you at the recent MLB show, and if I'm not mistaken, I seen you at one of the Bronner Brothers show when you was with Coco. You were doing the digital gapping, right?
Yeah.
So why don't I ever see you at the CT Barber Expos?
Well, the CT Barber Expo, it's a history that went along with that, with the CT Barber Expo. And the reason is being because it's something that happened between me and Jay before.
Uh huh.
And when it comes to personality wise, like I said, I look at character a lot. I look at the way people move, the way they act, the way they act on camera, the way they act off camera. So I'm learning the whole person. So CT Barber Expo is one of the bigger expos, which is good. But an interaction that we had one time, I lost all respect.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on what the situation was?
Well, one of the situation was when I came out and I was doing all of this digital, I mean zero gapping and all that. Every individual that you know right now used to go to my page, like my posts, everything, right? All of the guys that probably were prominent then. And I never liked the front line. I'm on the front line now, and I had to get practice to get to this level of speaking. But never liked the front line. Todd was good at that, and he was a person that I could say would have taught me how to get in the front, because that's what I used Todd for when he was working with me. But
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you, Todd, if you watching this and for putting that in me, being able to have this voice that I have now. But that's what I got from Todd.
Mm-hmm.
I never really wanted to be in the front line, but when I introduced this skeleton, at that point, Jay was really a significant figure, and he was starting out when he was doing it in the little clubs and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had conversations early on. He used to observe me. I was one of those type of people that if you are a person of privilege, you know how some people, like say a person on a drug strip, you might look at this guy and say, I don't know about this guy. I don't know who he might be, what his potential might be, but this might be somebody that potentially can be my opposition or doing what I'm doing, or maybe the competition. I
Okay.
never showed that way, but it was certain things about me that I know he observed that
Mm-hmm.
know that I was significant. So, men see that. You understand what I'm saying? Certain
Yep.
men can recognize attributes, how a man's posture is, how he move, right?
Yep.
So I know that about men. We do that with men, right? So what happened was I knew what I had can help Baptists, right? I
Okay.
never knew. I wanted to work. I wanted to be an educator working with a company, but I just didn't know how I wanted to do it. But I didn't want to be on the front line, so I say Baptists got all these people on the front line. I can cut real good and all of that. But I said, you know what? I could give Baptists this information, and it could take Baptists to a whole new level, right?
Okay.
He was the individual that that was chosen by Baptists to be like the footman to kind of see who's who in the industry. And
Yeah.
just like when I was with Coco, if I see somebody that's prominent, I can talk to David and say, David, this guy right here, he's strong. We need to have him. He knows this, and it can make Coco better. I already know he had that privilege.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
say, I say, can you this one we had a decent relationship. I said, can you introduce me to the guy or whoever it is that's dealing with the Clippers? Or they're dealing with the blades, because I wanted to be behind the scenes, get the information out, put a blade in the industry, which could have been done years ago.
Yep.
And I said, well, who invented the that gold, because that gold clipper was out then, right?
Yeah.
He told me he did it. So I just looked in the air. I just looked in the air, right? So I was like, okay, you did it, huh? Okay, so who is the guy I could talk to that makes a decision? So he went behind the thing, talked to a guy. So you can go and talk to a guy that you already got a relationship and probe him.
Yep.
I'm sharp enough to understand that I know I'm strong, but guess what? If I get in a certain light, another light may be dimmed a little bit based on how
Yeah.
much power I got. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I don't really care about that. I care about giving the industry what's good. The guy came behind the curtain, and whatever was probed and said, just like I said, if I work with Coco, I can tell this guy right here, you better talk to this guy because this guy knows what know. And people knew that about me.
Mm-hmm.
So um, the guy came back, I guess one of the owners or the big managers or something. He said, well, we don't really. He just pushed it out.
Uh-huh.
I was too significant at that time to just be like, okay, well, we don't need it. I already could feel the rhythm off of that. So when I seen what happened in that situation, when he told me he was the one that made the clipper, and then I seen how that happened, and people knew what I was doing in the industry. So I seen how he had grandstanded in that situation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
spent me. So I said, okay, that's cool. So it just a certain degree of respect I had from that point. And then when shows would come up, I was a significant factor because a lot of people were on my page about the classes that I was doing. Me and Todd with iCut Pro was crazy. We was probably the most prominent situation. And I would never get a because it was like the Spanish and the handsome and the all of that. And those people would get the people that would have the classes. So I would never get invited to any shows
Mm-hmm.
to do any classes because when you person of significance and you good in the industry, you typically they're gonna call you and say, "Can you come educate?" And you're not gonna typically pay to come do that. They give you a booth and the likes of that. And based on we trying to make the industry clean, um, I backed up off of them because I seen the character. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? And then I was looking at how the movement was,
Mm-hmm.
how he was typically moving. When I was seeing it was just like you know, incarceration and this what I used to do. And I come from a background that it ain't good either. So I know the nature of that territory. But
Yeah.
I was one of them individuals that I never talked about none of that. So when
Mm-hmm.
I see certain people, you ever heard of a guy that, you've been from the New York, you had a guy say, man, I did 15 years. Yeah, I used to box. I used to have this what I will. So that's a position of grandstanding, trying making another man feel like this person is a serious dude or something. So I seen those street characteristics moving, but I still see it with some other barbers and like the grandstanding and what I would say like what showboat.
Yeah.
But my early life, I knew how dangerous that was in the city, so I look at that as I look down on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching certain things, and I was seeing how people was moving with him, and I just was like, nah, I'm not a remote control. Now I respect what a person do. I'm trying to clean the industry up, but I can't be on remote control. I can't. I ain't into no jocking. I'm into respecting, but I ain't into no jocking at all. And if you don't come from where I come from, you're not gonna have that type of energy or chemistry. You understand what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yep.
So based off of the way I deal with men and respect character and reputation, I seen characteristic traits that I seen in the prior part of my life. There wasn't enough strong men, and I don't move like that.
I can respect that, and it's funny you say that because I have conversations with a lot of my other barbers, and we always have these conversations about the like some people would call it a testimony of what a person been through, but it gets to the point where we done heard your testimony to the point where is the growth and what else? Like me, I take 50 Cent, right? 50 Cent, we know his story from back in 2000, from getting shot and going to jail, but then now it's like, how long can you continue to tell that same exact story without showing that there's growth in your life? That was 20 years ago, that was 25 years ago. So where do you start telling a different story that you can intertwine a little bit, but now you have to show that you have evolved? And a lot
I
of
tell
times
you
I don't
what,
see that.
I look at the story that I tell. I would never dare to let a person know my background. I don't.
Mm,
I want the impression or the narrative about me to be positive.
mm,
Just what you know of me moving forward is what he did and what he did to help. But if I told you my background, you probably wouldn't. It'd probably throw a lot of people off. But I don't. I don't like to get into that. I don't
yeah.
even like being reminded of that. You understand what I'm saying? And I
Mm-hmm.
come from a place in this city that wasn't. It was very serious. So you never hear me talk about that. You
Mm-hmm.
never hear me talk
Never.
about anything about what I had, what I got, what I used to do, where I was. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hear anything about me, a narrative, I only want you to hear positivity.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a poor situation like most of us African Americans were poor, but it ain't nothing fascinating about what I come from.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that to be projected because when you put my personal life is not public and my public life is not private.
So how did you come up out of that and shed all of those layers of what you've been through before barbering? How did like just like not getting into it, but how did you evolve into the man that you are now?
Trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through a lot of stuff, bro. I know. I'm gonna tell you something that did it to me. Fear, and even I teach this in my courses where I'm teaching the new thing I'm doing, what is called Barber Income Accelerated Tactics. Fear drives action. I get scared easy. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I get scared of my actions. So I understand the one that remains silent, remains safe. Everything doesn't require feedback. I've been through a lot, but I don't get into none of that at all. I don't want to talk about it because it scares me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about like it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing if I was to really engage in certain conversations and letting people make me responsive off of the way they respond, it'll take me to a place that I don't want to see.
Yeah,
You know, I don't want no reminder of that. We getting older, we more mature, and I got family, I got people that depend on me. So I remain silent. The one that remains silent remains safe.
that's a fact.
You know,
So why don't we see you at BarberCon? Because I don't think I ever seen you at BarberCon. Post about BarberCon. I don't even think I ever seen you on Barber.
I'm gonna tell you what they know me well, and when Barbercon used to have Barbershop Connect, you remember when they used to post pictures? I had a lot of stuff that was strong that people was liking, right? They never reached out, and they knew and I was making a lot of impact. But you know, shows to reach out to who they feel is significant to teach classes at their shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I seen, because I do talk very direct, and it can have a person feeling like, is he talking about me or something like, but when I seen those shows, who they would reach out to based off of compared to what I'm doing in the industry, and they going on my page liking my pictures a lot, I lose a lot of respect for companies like that, man. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like if you're significant in the industry and you got one of the sharpest podcasts and MGM come to me and you the only guy I know that's speaking like this in podcasts, I'm gonna have to come to you, right? Because I
Yeah.
know that you the podcast guy, you the median ground that everybody goes to or can respect. So I have to come to you. I never worry about the light that might shine off me for them, putting you on with them. So when I would see that, and I just would keep observing. Another show will go by. Nobody, because they'll reach out. People, the companies reach out to who is strong because I'm in the mix of it now. So I know how it's moving. So
Uh-huh.
once I saw that, I just lost a lot of regards because then I would see how they would post the videos that they would post of people that didn't do good work and that wasn't really helping our industry. All of the, I know it's for likes and stuff like that, but the people that they were using in the state of prominence weren't the people that needed to help out our industry the way that I was doing it, in the way that the people that needed to be on the front line.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I get that. So you was down with Coco. You made Coco as big as what they are now. If it wasn't for you changing up the blades and really torquing everything so that every barber could want to use it and make Coco a household brand, um, we wouldn't be even speaking about them or even using their tools how they being used now. What happened between you and Coco that made you take a step away from them to go to T-Pop?
I knew. I'm gonna tell you what happened when I was traveling with Coco. T Pop had the Clippers that was out, and then when me and David would be talking sometimes, it would bother David based off of how T-Pod was coming in the industry, putting clippers out that was that cheap because all the clippers was so high. So at that point, T-Pod clippers was just like I look at everybody else looking at the clippers like they look like Toys R Us toys. It looked like you put your name on it. When I went over to Korea, I see the shells that you can put your name on, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it just looked like the basic Toys R Us toys clippers, and I knew at that point that the clippers wasn't nothing. But I seen T-Pop talking a crazy trash to everybody, right? That play machine came out. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew JRL machine was one of the dopest machines, like I'm telling you now, about another brand. JRL's machine was smooth. The JRL was really the only company that I was worried about catching up with me.
Uh-huh.
Because they really had. they had high level quality on the machine, the motors and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
he came out with that play machine. I heard it. And I wasn't dealing with none of the other machines. Even the Teapot blade, my blade and the Psycho blade wasn't even made like it's made now. It's different. So I seen that play machine come out and I heard it. I said, good gracious, that thing sound like a dental tool. So
Mm.
I've been cutting long enough to know I can hear like a mechanic. A guy working Mercedes, he's sitting in the car and he can tell what's going on just based off the sound. I've been cutting long enough. I knew that machine was going to be good. I wound up put my hands on it. I
Mm-hmm.
used it. It was just like that JR. It was smooth. It was smaller, quick. The clicks was exact. We got the what they call that the snap tech level. It wasn't out then, but now the level moves exactly where it needs to move. So sometimes when you move it, it'll skip over a bump. But now it's exact where it is. I used it. I said, oh man. And I'm one of them people, if it's something right, I'm gonna let y'all know it's right. I don't care who the person involved. It could be Hell's Angels that came up with. If the machine right, I want best results. It's at a good price. He talking to the barbers. He telling the truth. But the way he came out offended barbers because we never saw nothing like that in the industry. I'm in the industry that's like nothing don't offend me. Words don't bother me. Actions do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw how it operate, he got on live with me one time. And you know how he go on live and he'll shake a lot of barbers through their personalities. I just stayed dignified. I talked to him civilized and was laughing. And one thing led to another. We got offline and started talking. We got the same type of ideology. It was genius marketing because the name pissed off barbers. Just like if somebody said the happy clown. You can say something horrible to him, he's still gonna be happy. That's branding, but it was one of the most genius forms of marketing because if I got the people that don't like me and the people that do like me, I got all of them people. So
Yep.
now you come in telling you that you're giving the machine that's at the best rate, the best trimmer blade, the best adjustable. Now you got a line because it was always a position that we didn't have a good adjustable, but we had a good trimmer from another company. But it
Yep.
was always that you got to have mismatched tools. But now we got from one company a good adjustable and a perfect trimmer and a good blade. It made too much sense. And what Coco was doing, what happened was David didn't know the culture. And he was doing things when he was coming to the shows, like we had a guy named Onhill, and they thought those cartoon haircuts was going to be popular. I said,
Mm-hmm.
man, that barbers ain't watching them Batman haircuts and them cartoons, and he'll waste time in front of the big audience of us barbers because we cutting the hair and want to see fades and temple tapers. We don't want to see animated Panthro and Thundercat haircuts. And when it was taking up time in them shows, and I knew what our culture wanted to see. That was one of the things because I like you put me in front of the audience. I'm a control the room. I know how to do it because I'm talking to us, the culture. And then
Yep.
when he was making decisions with the Blaze and the Clippers, some of the stuff wasn't coming out right, and then we'd send out a whole container of wrong, something that's wrong. Then you would try to put that out, bring it back, and recoup that money. No, we just lost $100,000, $300,000, $250,000. We got to keep the reputation strong. I'm like that.
Yeah.
So my reputation was connected to certain things, and people coming online to me like, man, the blade ain't this, it's getting loud. And I knew that I already knew we shouldn't have did this anyway. And I said, no, it was a mistake. We got to bite the bullet, start all over. We lost the money. But that's one thing. And then T-Pop came out. We started talking. T-Pop was listening. He was an individual communicating with the barbers. He's speaking the language I'm speaking. He exposing the mediocrity. And now it's just like a basketball player. I'm not going to stay with a team that's losing.
Nope.
If it's a player that's on a team that's good, I'm gonna get with the team that's winning. And if I'm the person that's giving it, if I'm coaching to a degree, telling you how we can win, and the team is listening, you understand what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I'm gonna do what makes sense. I don't come from Wall and Andis, which was the best in the industry when it come to quarter, and then I'm gonna move back to mediocrity. But we deal with a lot of barbers in our industry that just are brand loyal. You got OGs that are never. I don't care how Andis do. Andis got a clean looking brand. They gonna tell you that Andis everything work, and I can tell you and give you the evidence why it's not the best, what doesn't work. But Andis is good. Corded machine, but what is it called? The rope, what is it called there? Recon?
Recon. Yep.
Best cordless adjustable
Recon. My
that they have
recon, bro.
did against all of their cordless machines when it comes
These.
to, yes,
How you like these?
yes.
You like these?
Yeah, it got a nice weight in its suit. And for the Silver Master, it's giving you the weight that it got. You
Yeah.
can use the blade. It sculpts. You can hear the haircut through the teeth. It got a smooth sound to it.
Mm.
The price is crazy though.
Price is crazy. I think if they would have did what they did with the Phenoms, where you could take this, where you could take the head off and change it from three different blades, if they would have put this system on this, it would have been a game changer.
Anything with detachable blades never did good. Anything where you take that whole head off.
These is good though.
Yeah,
These.
that's good. But anything that came in the industry where they can clip that whole head off, they never created a lot of traction.
Mm-hmm.
They have had the best fade blade, the
Mm-hmm.
best taper blade in the industry. And when I invented the F1 blade, Wall came behind with the F32, and Andis came behind with the phase. Because I knew that the Andis fade blade was the best fade blade in the world and the one with the style craft. I'm telling you something else good about style craft. Do you remember that one they had with a gun, the gold one?
Yeah, yeah, the gold one.
That fade blade that they had on that blade, that gun, was a electric laser blade. That
Mm.
fade blade was a laser. But I came out with the F1 to supersede or be compatible with the Andis. But when you know your value and they hear how the way I talk, and just like the shows, when we talk about the shows a little bit, me going to the shows, but I'm not going to anyone that you're gonna pay me a day rate, what you see them do with all them educators they do. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
engineer, I'm a trendsetter, and I'm a mechanic. So I have to get paid for what my value is. So I'm likely very easy to turn down the 1200s and the 5000s and the 10,000s. They never see that before. So they're gonna do what they're used to because we can throw this person on stage what we've been doing for years and let them speak our narrative and put the remote control batteries in their back.
Somebody asks, "Are you a licensed engineer? Are you a licensed mechanic, or you just say that?"
I'm licensed.
That was a question that somebody asked, so I definitely wanted to get that. Why will we see a Morono clipper?
I don't want to deal with clipping. I'm gonna tell you why. The reason I don't want to deal with clipper is because in warranty department, it's too much involved with machines.
Uh
I'm a one-off. I'm gonna deal with metals, plastics, and if I'm gonna deal with a machine, I'm waiting on Elon Musk to talk to a barber, and he come out with a machine, and I want to be amongst the best of the best when it comes to a machine. But I know what's going on in those factories overseas, and I know the mindset of these owners of these factories, and I know how they moving because the companies don't control the industry, the
mm-hmm.
factories do.
Mm-hmm.
And most
Okay.
of these, like people you see doing these reviews, they are nowhere near credible to do any reviews because typically most of them even cut at public eye or just barber's eye and don't know what's going on in the factories and don't know what's going on with the engineer or the mechanics of the tools or the blades.
Mm-hmm. So speaking about tools and blades, what is your favorite trimmer for sharp lines versus moving bulk?
You want me to you want me to name all? Because I'm not just gonna tell you one. We're gonna be fair to the companies.
Go ahead.
What is comfortable with removing bulk when it comes to a trimmer?
Yep.
A trimmer was never designed to remove bulk, no matter if they call it deep tooth or not,
Okay.
because you got 45 teeth on a trimmer blade, the 47 teeth on the trimmer blade. The teeth are smaller, so it's made for meticulous units.
Uh-huh.
So when it comes to removing bulk, I would use a corded, if I had to, a corded deep tooth Andis at a 45 going with the grain.
Mm-hmm.
I would typically use any trimmer going at a 45 with the grain, but is it meant to you remove bulk? No, because what's happening is it's going to interrupt the reverb on that machine over a period of time. And once you get transfer of echo in the body, you're gonna lose power inside of your blade. So
Mm-hmm.
trimmers are not designed to remove bulk, no matter if a company steps in on it or not. That's why you need to remove bulk with an adjustable that is gapped properly, and then remove specular units with a trimmer.
Okay. I had my brothers from the United Barbers Club send me a question, and they said, "Did you sell the digital gap design, or do you still own it?"
Now I don't own it no more. That's why I went to Exact Gap. That's called intellectual property. Um, I think a lot when it comes to language, but digital gap, at first it was zero gap that came out. That made no sense. You got still the educators, Anders, and companies using it. I destroyed that. They could still use it all they want, just like Airbnb destroyed hotel, Uber destroyed taxi. The industry got to keep moving. Zero gap means zero, which is no gap. That was an intellectual property. That was a language that I came up with because digital means a pixel. That's what I'm thinking about, digital. You need to have a dot or a micrometer distance away of that cutting blade, away from that edge, that it can cut the hair sharp, but not cut the skin sharp. So I
Mm-hmm.
sold that intellectual property to Coco.
Okay. So they get it. So they had to give you some money for that.
Yes.
Okay. Next question I got for you is: have you ever met T Pop in person, and did he have the mask on?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay, but did you meet him in person though?
Huh?
But have you ever met him in person or just by
I don't
conversation?
want. I don't want to get into that because some things we're doing right now is we getting ready to open up some other doors for some other things.
Okay, these are the questions that a lot of the other podcasters that's in the industry would love to ask you, but they haven't had the opportunity to do so yet. So, what is the most common mistake you've seen new barbers making in their career right now?
Being impressed with everybody that's on the front line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Being
And if you,
impressed with everybody that's on the front line that are perceived to be popular and celebrity, and being handicapped with enhancements. Don't get me wrong, I do them, I charge for them, but new barbers are handicapped with enhancements and they cannot no longer identify real haircuts.
that is a whole fact. That's a whole fact. These questions is coming from my brother TDB versus he asked that first question, and the second question he asked is: if you could change one thing about the barbering industry, what would it be?
This is like an answer that I'm gonna give you that probably wouldn't happen, but I would want to change the criteria that is necessary to put the right people in front and make sure that they go in front the right way, and the superficial part of it be removed. And if that happens, if you saw what I've done in the barbering industry as one person, and you see all my students and how much they charge and how many days they working, if
Mm-hmm.
there were more of me in the industry, this whole industry would change completely. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't live in a world of truth mixed with a lot of falsehoods, mixed with a lot of falsehoods. So they got to keep me pushed out so they can continue to control the superficial narrative.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's why you
I,
don't see me associate with certain educators, certain influencers. You don't see me so. Anytime you always see me, you always typically gonna see me by myself.
Speaking about educators, who are some educators that you look up to? Like me, I look up to Ivan Zoo. That's one of the top tier. Who are some educators out there right now that you know they the real deal Holyfield?
Right now, I'm gonna be very honest with you. When it comes to cutting, it makes really no difference.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the cutting aspect, Ivan Zook right now is the highest level of IQ and intellect and understanding barbering IQ. Ivan Zook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ivan Zook. When it comes to cutting, you're not gonna get much cutting, but he know how to communicate cutting. But if you look at his work, he doesn't have the best work because everybody, you don't have to be the best barber to
Mm-hmm.
be a successful barber. But Ivan Zook is the highest level IQ. And DL Master Barber is the most direct level when it comes to talking straight
Mm-hmm.
barber. That's it.
Absolutely.
That's
And the
it.
reason why I'm asking is because those two names that you spoke of are two influential educators in the industry that a lot of the new barbers that's coming on. Barbers 5 years or younger don't even know who they are, don't have no understanding of who they
Let,
are
let
and
me
what they bring
let
to
me
the table.
let me show you something. If Ivan Zoot left Anders and not dealing with Anders, and
Hmm.
as strong as he is, what makes anyone in the world think that they're gonna go to that company or another company and get in a place of privilege?
Mm.
You gotta really look at this thing, man. You understand that man speaks so fast, so direct, so clear, so concise, and him working with the strongest company in the industry at that time, and he not with Anders. What do you really think is going on?
Hmm.
You understand? I look deep into this industry, man. I look deep into this industry, and I'm not an individual. I can't do a plane ticket both ways, breakfast and dinner, a day rate, and get a title, throw me on stage, and put the puppet strings in my back.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
got to be able to use all of the tools in the industry and tell you what's truthfully good with every one of them. And I got something good to say about every one of them. And what's bad about them, I make you familiar with what's bad about them. And I have evidence.
Yeah, so we are speaking there about Ivan Zoot, and we talk about DL the Master Barber. For those that didn't catch those names, you could DM me, and I will send you the information. Those are two people. If you're a barber that's just getting into the industry, you're a barber student, you're a person that just want to elevate your craft. You need to know who those two influential people are. DM me, and I will definitely give you the information. But yeah, the reason why I asked the question is because everybody now wants to call themselves an educator. They don't have, and a lot of times these platform artists consider themselves educators. They don't have a master license. They really haven't been groomed to be on the stage to really explain the terminology of barbering and technique. But they're on these stages to try to sell these clippers. And I've seen a lot of people, like even the G Wizzes. I haven't seen G Wiz at a hair show in so long, and he's one of those guys that we've seen from early on, from the haircuts and the posters to being in a Solid Gold magazine to being on those platforms to really train and teach people how to use the tools, to be one of the first barbers with his own clipper. But the new generation of barbers don't even know who I'm speaking about. And I love to bring these names up because they could do their research.
Now, when it comes to cutting, like I said, I don't deal with everybody, but I can tell you something good about whoever I speak about.
Uh,
But with Anders, when it comes to explanation of a haircut, teaching how to cut,
uh,
Kenny Duncan will probably be one of the best in the world when it comes
mm,
to explaining a haircut. His name was Clipper Edu at one time. I don't know why he changed his name, but that was the best name for him. I
mm,
came in the industry, a lot of stuff started happening, but his name changed. Then he started doing a lot of this other different stuff. But when it comes to explanation of a haircut, explaining it,
mm,
but not staying connected to watching him continuously, because a lot of I tell barbers not to follow people that participate, and generally 90% of their work is enhanced, or 80% of their work is enhanced. But when it comes to the explanation of breaking down the words that are necessary to hear to understand how to cut, Kenny Duncan probably, I say, one of the best in the world that could do that.
we salute we salute you for saying that. I am a big advocate of putting people that I know that's very influential in the game. I love to speak their name so that people that's new to the industry would know exactly who they are. The G Wizards, the Alex Campbells, the Al Millions. There's so many other people that the Success Addict. There's so many other people that I love to speak to. I love to network with. I love to tell the new generation of people about, because there's so many people that don't know who Marcus Harvey is. They don't know what iCut Pro is really all about and where it started. They don't know who Nori is. And us as the OGs are the ones that
Some
have
of
to
these
continue to
people,
move.
I'm gonna tell you something. Some of these people don't even need to know some of these people, to tell you the truth. They don't need to know. They need new. They need to come. It. You got to stay connected to what's new. What's
Hmm.
going on new. Some of these names that you might be mentioning or talk about, some of these factors are maybe insignificant factors in degrees of new bars.
Explain. Explain.
Okay, say for instance, with the nuance of what's going on. The reason that I'm able to stay relevant is because I'm staying connected to what's new. When you look at what a person brings to the industry, other than a haircut, that's what you got to ask yourself. What does this person bring to the industry other than a haircut?
Uh-huh.
So if they don't bring anything other than a haircut to the industry, why do I need to be keep following them or knowing from? Because most people in the industry bring just a haircut to the industry. But if
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing that you can really get from that person and you can keep continuing to grasp and grow off of, that if I was working with a company for the last 20 years and all I can give the industry is a haircut and a clipper, you got 100 educators that's doing that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the innovation is what perpetuates everything. Say like Apple, you know, say like what Apple has done or what Tesla has done. They don't care nothing about what Ford did. People want to know what's keeping them from running burning out behind that chair. If you keep telling me about what Mr. Johnson did, I don't want to keep knowing about what Mr. Johnson did. I want to know what's going on with what's current so I can stay relevant. After
Okay.
I learn from Mr. Johnson, I really don't need to know nothing about that. So a lot of these people that we see in the industry that's talking about how many celebrities they cut, whatever they did, half of their hair, 99% of their haircuts is filled with deceit and deception. Them new barbers don't need to know none of that. That's what's perpetuating the ignorance in our industry. That's perpetuating the ignorance in our. So we need to come with new life in the industry, and that's what's going to change our industry. New language, new life, new techniques, new tools, new innovation, new people.
Mm-hmm.
New people in the industry. We're dealing with the same faces, man. You go to any of these awards and you see the Barber of the Year or what? The Soul Train Award. What's the name of the awards? The
What
awards.
award?
Who?
Which award you talking about?
Where they get these awards at the shows.
The BET Awards?
Um,
Or
they
you
make
mean
it, huh?
or you mean for the barber industry?
Yeah,
The Barber Grammys?
yeah. You see these people getting on these stage talking about the most influential person, the educator of the year. Is you serious?
Mm.
You seeing these same people over and over again, and then when you see this person, and then you know this other person right here over here that was really done tremendous more than this person, and it's the fast fade of the year of the education. Come on, man.
So you
This
think it's favorite?
industry is playing with these barbers. How you get one man to come in the industry that make this much change in one person?
Mm. So you think it's favoritism?
100% is favoritism. I don't think.
Mm.
I'm not. I'm not. I don't speak for. I speak in terms of being absolute when I know.
Mm.
But I can care less about an award. You better not never call me on the stage. 'Cause I'm gonna leave it on the podium and I'm gonna give it to the audience because that's who deserves it. That's who deserves the award, the audience. I don't care nothing about no what it be Grammy awards, none of that. It don't make no difference. I want to know what can I give you to change your life and your family's life. What can you come to my page and take from my page and keep changing your life?
Mm.
I ain't never got no award.
I was gonna ask you that. Have you ever been honored? Have you ever been invited to receive an award?
Nah, I ain't never been. I wonder why though, but I could care less about the award because the entities that create those awards are not preceded by nothing. It's not gonna mean nothing in anarchy in the world. If I get an award on award on the stage from a barber such and such, whatever show it was, that ain't gonna perpetuate me. I've been perpetuated through my work,
Yeah.
through my work and what I've done. So I can care less about those people need those awards because they need to be acknowledged. I didn't need to be acknowledged, man. My proofs is my evidence.
Okay. I got a question about Clean Cut. He said, "What's your relationship with H3?"
Oh, H3 pretty good. H3 was one of my first students. He learned the advanced barber systems. He was one of my first students. He started teaching. Prime example. H3 was one of my first students. Look what H3 did. Life changed behind his chair. I touch barbers' lives, man. I don't play with this industry. They getting played with in this industry, but H3 was a decent guy. You know, he's a decent guy, but he learned a lot from us. Time and time, we still may talk on the phone.
Mm-hmm. I got a question from 3J. He said, "What did you learn when you recently went back to the traditional shop?"
Oh, very, very good question. I got a lot of information out of that. So I went back to a traditional shop where they was charging 35. I wanted to do that because I had to test my IQ. So I went back to a traditional shop where people walked in the door saying $35 and $45 for a haircut, and I'm at 119, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to figure out, which I teach in my curriculum now, how to use contrast, rebuttals, use fear to drive action, use compound questions. So I had to really test myself to see how I can get a walk-in that was used to paying $35 and $45 to get them latched on to me, to get them up to my number, just like that. So it made my curriculum stronger. But one thing about that shop, it ain't nothing like that traditional barbershop, man. When you isolate yourself and go in that room, it ain't nothing like cutting that residual clientele, you know, talking with the guys. If you're in a professional environment, you know, the camaraderie that come from the floor, it ain't nothing like that at all. It's nothing like that in the world. Barbering, the foundation is always gonna have a strong core.
Okay, so what's your opinion now then by saying that with sweets?
If you're strong enough to go in the suite, I'm strong enough to go in the suite, so it'll work for me. But a new barber that's coming out, he need to be around people that where he can learn the culture of our industry, and he needs to develop his skill set. Suites are good, but it's good for an individual that understands how to market well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Add a question by ABSS Barber Spa. Salute to y'all. He said, "You said that the industry is moving slow. What needs to change to adjust the pace?"
It's moving fast and it's moving slow. It's moving fast where the ignorance is being perpetuated,
Uh-huh.
but it's moving slow with the integrity and you being paid for what you're worth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's moving fast in a state of ignorance, but it's moving slow with being paying what you was accommodated for, what you worth. So what needs to change is the level of information. And I'm not always trying to refer back to me, but I know I've been gifted with what I know in this industry as it relates to the things I know because I lived inside of it. I understand the psychology of the industry. If you had more voices like mine
Mm-hmm.
and people that came um, from that realm of understanding, and you put them on the stages, the whole industry gonna change. Because I wouldn't be able to change everybody typically that I've been connected to and not be put on a stage with thousands of people and don't change thousands in that room.
I can
But the
respect
people
that.
that throw the shows keep putting the same names that y'all been looking at for years in front of people, and them people ain't got nothing to offer but a haircut to the industry.
What's your opinion on this statement that stated that Kamal started the popularity, Major Leagues continued it, Exotic changed the narrative, and CT Barber Expo advanced it to the next level?
Who is Kamal?
So that's one of my mentors I spoke about earlier. That's
That's the one you
from New
spoke
York.
about
Yeah,
first?
yeah.
Maybe I think it was somebody before Major League, but that was I think he might have been the earlier one. When you say Kamal, I think he might have been that one that was right before Major League, but Major League was the introduction to the one that's perpetuating before Exotics, before CT Expo. But what did they say about Exotics? What did Exotics do?
They changed the narrative from what I was told. Exotics went down to Miami, to create their barber battles, and it was a lot of Spanish influence.
Yeah, that's what Exotics did bring a lot of Hispanics in, but Exotics brought a lot of people in that were like wanted to be prominent that weren't really necessary.
Hmm.
It was like he gave a doorway to a lot of people that Nori probably wouldn't deal with because Nori is a personality of higher character when it comes to people that's dealing with like looking at people.
Mm-hmm.
understanding people. Like if you fake or superficial or you doing too much, his personality not like that. So typically the person, it's just like the barber, this a drug addict. He gonna get drug addict clientele. The barber that say go to the NA meetings. Most of his people are fellowship people. The barber is a, you know, you got that type of clientele. So the show produces a lot of times based off the personalities that they are. That's the type
Mm-hmm.
of people that they bring.
That's a fact.
Sample.
Uh, E Blades Z562 said Morono being one, being a real one when it comes to those companies. If you'll get what I'm saying, the approach ain't respected. Ain't respected because it's like going against the corporation World Grain. If that's solid to you, meaning that you gonna ruffle them feathers, and sometimes going against the corporations is gonna make you look a certain way, but no matter what it is, you're gonna stay ten toes down.
Just based off of how you was raised. It's like your manhood. I'm gonna tell the truth no matter what, even if it's against myself. I'm gonna apologize if I'm wrong. It's just about your manhood, how I was raised. But I was a barber, and I'm a barber, and I want what's good for us. I don't want companies coming out telling us this is a good machine, this is a good blade, and it's not. And I know how people have how people have dealt with me directly. The companies that I have had, the companies in my DMs. Like, and I'm not getting into those details because I don't want to open up too much about who was talking to me and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But I've had those companies and people in my DMs talking about certain things, and the reason I can talk about these certain things because I understand how they respond.
yep.
That's why
Clean.
people on the outside wouldn't be able to understand me because they don't know what's going on the inside.
What's what's the deal with the advanced barber system?
Advanced Barber Systems is a system that I started to advance barbers through introducing a system. Anything in life that operates successfully operates inside a system. So I created a system in barbering that perpetuated order, detail, precision, pristine, language, communication, tools, technology that the industry had never seen before that perpetuated barbers to the next generation.
Hmm. Okay, I'm just going through these questions. If you guys wanted a question asked, definitely ask the question because now I'm going through all these questions while we having this conversation. So what I want to do with you is something I call barber questions. It's gonna be 5 rapid questions, and I just want to get your quick response to each of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. First question I got for you is: what is your top 5 clipper companies?
Top five clipper companies.
Yeah, it don't got to be in order, but if you wanted to put it in order, then you can.
JRL, T-Pop, JRL, Andis, T-Pop, JR, Andis, T-Pop, JRL, Wall, and that's it. It's
You got
four.
one more.
Um,
That's 4.
that's four.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know no other ones.
Okay. Second question I got for you is: does having a license matter and why? A barber license.
100% it matter, and they need to find out. They need to have the police walking up in the barbershop and the inspectors walking up in the barbershop enough, finding and locking whoever up that don't have no license, so we can clean up that part of the industry. Yes, it does matter, 100%. It matter having a license for a doctor, a dentist, a surgeon, a mechanic. It matter in every other industry. Why shouldn't it matter in ours?
That's a fact. That's a whole fact. Third question I got for you is: does having a strong social media presence convert into new clients?
Yes, because social media gave us a commercial to the world.
Mm,
I got to this point in my career off Instagram, not off YouTube. Instagram did everything that you see me doing right now.
okay. Fourth question I got for you is: where do you see the barber industry in 5 years?
The barbering industry in 5 years, it's always gonna be tribes.
What's
It
gonna be
ain't.
problem?
It's gonna be tribes. It ain't gonna be like, oh, everything is getting ready to go to this because you always gonna have those people that like notoriety, being a celebrity, being in front of the camera, you always gonna have those people. And then you always gonna have it up, down, good, bad, on, off, black, white. It's always gonna be a yin and a yang in barbering. So in 5 years, you're gonna see what you're seeing now, but you're just gonna see different people involved. That's it.
Okay. And my final question for barber questions is, what kind of barber are you?
You want me to give it to you straight?
Yeah,
Professional barber.
professional barber. Okay. The miseducation of the barber asks, how do we teach barbers the difference between buying tools and buying skill?
Barbers buy tools because new tools give them life to go back to work and do something new. That's
Mm,
why you see so many tools constantly selling. They don't have nothing new to give them life and recover from burnout. So when they buy a new tool, the new tool gives them life behind the barber chair. Buying skill. Most of us as African Americans do not understand, and I don't kind of blame them, because when it comes to education, when I came in the industry, I was the person to say, what did I need to go to a class to learn? I'm already cutting 25, 30 heads, 24 heads a day. What is this? Then I go to the class, he in there teaching a fade. I probably can cut better than him. So most barbers are not confident with dealing with a barber that has classes. That's why even with my classes, I got to do so much talking to convince you, to give you the understanding why I'm different. And once you take my class one time, you look at when the person take my class and you work in a regular barbershop, you know what I got to consult them with?
mm.
How to go back in that barbershop, because they start looking at barbers different and they can't even work back in a traditional environment again. That's how
That's a fact.
effective my classes are.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Even when I used to go to hair shows, the stuff that I would learn from the hair show, then I come back to my environment at the barbershop, I felt different. I felt, one, I felt inspired. I felt more educated. I felt like I'm going to bring more to the table. And then I was looked at. I was laughed at. Don't nobody want to get no facial. Don't nobody want no hairline enhancement. Like this was early on. So once I started to do it and then started to bring up my prices, then everybody else in the barbershop wanted to ask me questions and look at me and all of these things because they didn't want to invest into their time and their money and their skill like I did. So I definitely understand that. Once you get the information that you need to go to the next level, that's so me being in the suite now, I felt like I learned all I could at my last barbershop, that it was time for me to do exactly what I planned to do when I moved to Georgia, and that was to get my own private space, to have an atmosphere and to do what I do. But I also still go, see, this is what a lot of suite renters are not doing. I also always have communication and go to the barbershops to still get that same rapport that I always had, cutting the just having the conversations and really laughing and joking. Then I go back to my suite and still feel that this is what I want. But again, there's a lot that goes with it. And you got to be in tune and locked into what's going on into the industry. I have a question here by Cuts by G and Summer J. I'm gonna get your question next. Or how will you counsel income face of the industry? Income is face. I don't understand the question. How do you counsel incoming faces of the industry when it comes to contracting with brands and products in the industry?
You got to know the value. That's the sensitive area. You got to know the power of your no. You got to know the
Uh-huh.
power of your no, because most time, if you don't really come from nothing, you ain't never had a lot of money before, somebody give you a gift package, you going to go on social media, and they sent me a box. Babbler sent me a box. Open it up, Ted. Now they keep sending you tools. You market good. You got good followers. They using your leverage. And what happens is you couldn't send me $1 million for me to
Mm-hmm.
tell y'all a lie.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't need it. You can't
Mm-hmm.
send me $1 million for me to tell y'all a lie, because my character precedes it.
That's a fact.
My character is going to be tore up. So the next thing that I come out with, I'm never going to have believing power. So when it comes to that, the companies typically more so got more leverage, because they know that these barbers would typically sell out for nothing. You get them a name and a title. and then you say most barbers typically don't have anything to offer the industry outside of a haircut. When Coco came to me, I had more to offer the industry other than a haircut,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I understand my value. I already knew what I was worth before Coco came to me. So any type of money wasn't going to be able to move me. So if I was a person that was living in Africa and I was kicking diamonds around, or you had a wife and she was kicking diamonds around and you gave her a big old rock, she's not typically impressed by that.
Nope.
So based off of what I was exposed to early in my life, I can't get impressed with the rates and the contracts, and the contracts are a little dangerous. You know, you
Yep.
signing yourself away to using a tool, then you subject yourself to a person like me to come on the scene. Now you're inside of a contract. You got to keep speaking a narrative, and I'm coming to shooting arrows at you, telling the truth about you, letting you know why the product not good, and showing evidence. Then you got to keep saying it. Now it makes you feel some type of way about me.
Yep. And it's funny you say that because the last live that I did was with Prince the Fit Barber, and he explained how him being with these brands that he's with now, he came on it from the rip, already know what his worth was and what he's bringing to the table and what he want. And a lot of these platform artists that you guys think are out there at all these different shows getting this money, they're not. They're getting a per diem, they get in a room, and they may get some tools, but
Let
they're
me
not
tell
really
you
getting
something,
nothing.
bro. I don't care who it is. The fit barber, whoever they are, the money that they giving them barbers is not. I know the numbers, and
Mm,
I know what I brought to the industry
mm,
when it came to innovation and the impact that I made. The numbers that they getting from these companies, brother, is not worth a hill of beans. If you ain't coming from no money at all, most time the guy can't even speak money because most of us probably come from really no money. You give one of us an extra $3,000 or $4,000 a month. That's a lot of money. Most
mm,
people making about $4,500 or $5,000 a month. The averages, but when them companies already know what you're going to go for. And most
mm,
people want the stage and want the light, so they're going to go for it. You traveling around the world free. You going to all these little parties. You hollering at these little girls in the parties. You got hotels. It's a club. It's a club. I already, it's, then behind the scenes, the people, they don't even talk about that.
mm.
They don't even talk about the other stuff that the people, the parties and all of that that's going on and behind the scenes. But
Yeah, I don't
I
want to
was,
be on no documentary. I'm letting y'all know that right now. This barber could be in a documentary
man,
too.
they came at me one time. One time they came at me and said some crazy stuff. I ain't even speak on it.
Uh-huh.
You know, they came at me one time and said some crazy stuff about what I was doing in the industry, and I didn't even give it no life. You had people that wanted to shoot it at me because this might get them out the way. Man,
Mm-hmm.
I looked at that stuff like, man, you come on. I know everybody was perpetuating it.
That's a fact. I had a question from Summer J that I wanted to ask you. We got a few more questions. Just pay attention, guys, because I gotta be off this live by like 4:56, so that I can save this and then I start with my day cutting hair. So, but Summer J said, what advice to barbers that should be on the front line but don't want to get caught up in the hype and the authenticity that it brings.
If you get on the front line and you're not going you're going to either have to be my personality or fake personality. You're not going to be able to get on the front line and don't get in the hype.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on the front line, right?
Nope.
I ain't in the hype. But if I get on that front line, I could have lied and got further than what I am. I'm doing really good, but I'm just saying I could have got on the front line and did way more and be a more prominent figure than I am. But if you get on that front line, you're going to have to lie. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to do that. So you're not going to get on that front line without lying. You're not. When you see these people on these brand and cater ambassadors and they work when they keep talking about one clip, all this, you got to lie. I'm not doing it. I'm not with a company. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm getting questions about based on your self awareness and your values, what money amount should be bare minimum. But As far as being a barber or professional or in signature, that was about cut by G.
You talking about a haircut?
I guess the price
Well, if you're
point as
talking about
far
a
as
haircut, money is based off of what you value. It's not based off. I can tell him $70, $60. I make $118 a head. You got some barbers that make 200, some barbers that make 150. I tell you the truth. You got some that make 75. I figure that's fair for what my value is.
mm,
So it's based off what you feel your value. And if I go with a company and they want me to do consulting or engineering, I know what I have brought to the industry, and I know what my value is for that number also.
that's a fact. That's a fact. What would be the best way to get more clientele? Have you ever paid to advertise your social media?
Everything. A business card is still always good. Effective communication, dressing properly, looking properly, speaking properly, going to VIP events, paying for the tickets down at the front row, propping yourself. If you got to put something on fake, put it on fake. We living in a world that's fake anyway. If you a person that's significant, ain't nobody gonna worry about if it's fake or real. Most everything I wear fake.
What?
I don't care nothing about it. If you
That's a
see me, probably all the clothes I got on fake. I mean,
That was the same thing that Tyrese said. He said, "Listen, I ain't worrying about this jury. I done got jury stole from you, all this stuff. We worrying so much about the frivolous things instead of worrying about what's real."
yeah, when I show up, people know who I did and what I did when I show up. My characters, that's the only thing important to me. I don't care nothing about these clothes. I don't care nothing about my car. I don't care nothing. If I showed you my house, most people wouldn't even believe I got a decent house, but most people, I ain't even got a headboard on my bed. My TV on top of my shoebox. I don't care nothing about none of this material stuff. I care about the people.
Where do you see the biggest disconnect between barber school teaching and real shop experience?
Man, the barber schools is the foundation. The barber school teachers don't even look like barbers. They come to work with they don't even wear the white jackets no more. They ain't looking professional. The barber school teachers is the main examples that cause they the ones that tell you what to wear to school. They the ones that you looking at the way you dressing to come to school. So the barber teachers is really the foundation that helping the industry out. Imagine if I was a barber school teacher and what would I put out?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine it was 5 schools that I had, or 20 schools in the world I had. Imagine what my students would look like. It's gonna look different from what's coming out. School,
Mm-hmm.
the teacher make a difference. He not
Okay.
dressing properly, talking properly, looking properly. He's showing off in front of the students. But me
So
talking like, go ahead.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But me talking like this, it makes people say, okay, I want to give him to my school. But damn, I'm one of them teachers that don't look properly. Is he talking to me? I don't really like him. It's the nature of the territory. I gotta
Mm.
talk straight, man, because that straight talk, that's the only way we're gonna clean the industry up. We
Facts.
can't clean the industry up with saying lying against somebody. Somebody didn't pay me. I hear so much stuff against me. Somebody said told me I didn't pay for a booth at a show. I'm looking like, did you tell somebody that because you wanted to develop an impression? I could pay for 100 booths at a show. Like, come on, man. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? One thing about me, I ain't crossing nobody.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know.
So, do you think is there anything that I didn't ask that you want the people to know?
Um, um, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna. One thing I say, I don't want to probe anything. If I hear something, I'm gonna respond to it. If somebody mentions something about a person, is a name or something, I'm not just gonna go in on nobody. But if it's somebody wanted to know something about certain things, I'm gonna speak in a certain level of dignity with it. But I
Yeah.
ain't gonna assassinate nobody. I know enough about certain people to stay away from them. I can say that.
So I gotta say that me trying to do as much research as possible, there was nothing as far as negativity that I could get out of anybody. Now, if anybody's speaking negative, I haven't got any. I reached out to a lot of people. Listen, man, if you ever heard anything bad about Morono as far as business, as far as the way he moved, anything negative, and nobody could get back to me. So I could say from what I've ingested that there's nothing negative that has came across my desk when it comes to the integrity of who you are as a man, as a professional, as an individual. And I was searching. I searched all over the web. I searched all over YouTube. I searched all over different people pages to get to the nitty gritty. And I must say that I don't know who you paid if you had to, but your thing is clean, my brother.
I sit squatters in shows though. Like if I'm not going to a show, I pay squatters to sit in shows to learn who take my content, what they talk about in the class. If anybody's talking, but I do pay squatters to sit in certain shows. But when I say about character wise, I don't mind apologizing, man. I deal with people too straight, and you don't have people like me. A lot of times, even in the world, is going to deal with people direct. But I deal with people straight, man. And if I did something wrong, I apologize because I don't want to leave a person in discord. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep. So man, I definitely appreciate the conversation that we had. I think that is going to go and show a lot of people what's really going on in the industry, and they want to hear from you exactly what's really going on. How do you feel about certain things, and what can be adjusted to make things better? So I know the masses is going to see this. You know, those people that we spoke about and didn't speak about, and I hope a lot of things can be corrected moving forward. Because what I believe is that we need to see Morono needs to be invited to every single show, and because a lot of people are losing out on the education, the information, and to be able to see somebody in person while they're here to really get a real understanding of what that person brings to the game, and how vital it is for these other individuals to get the information. So I know for a fact you need to be at all of these hair shows. You need to be at the CT. You need to be at LV. You need to be at BarberCon Dallas, BarberCon Nashville. You need to be there. They need to make sure that it's their duty to make sure that you're there, because so many people, we pay for these tickets. We pay flight, hotel, clothes, food, everything to be at these events. And I must tell you, I do not get a lot of information. Now, when I seen you um at at um at Bronner Brothers last, when you was with Coco, and me and you just having a conversation, and me and you just watched the genius work. I've learned so much from that by having you in person. And also when you was in North Carolina at the last MLB show, just having the conversations, and being in the same presence of you, to be able to pick your brain and to ask questions. This is what we don't get by sometimes being on social media. So that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. But one thing I definitely do is I typically don't go unless I'm invited.
That's what
And
I'm
then
saying. So yeah.
unless I'm invited, that's the only time I go. And then I won't sell out. Like if I do cost. I am valuable. So
Yes, you are.
I won't typically go for the same standard of what they've been used to getting away with dealing with another educator, the same terms. But I know my values truly supersedes what a lot of these other educators. So maybe sometimes when it comes to my terms, but I play fair, you know what I'm saying? Because I want to change the state of the industry. But moving forward, I'm getting ready to introduce something called Barber Income Accelerator Tactics, and that's
Mhm.
getting ready to change the world in barber.
Well, I thank you, my brother. If you ever want to do a part two to really get into more conversation, Razor Sharp Podcast is welcoming you at any time to come to just explain what you got going on, what you see is wrong in the industry, and just to continue the conversation moving forward. So I thank you for being on Razor Sharp Podcast and dropping so much gems today.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me.
Yes, my brother. So we salute you. We thank you. We want to give you your flowers while you're here. And if nobody told you to today or yesterday, you're very valued in this barber industry. You're very valued in the culture, and we need you to continue to be exactly who you are and to continue to do exactly what you're doing, because you're innovative. You're a very innovative soul that's been doing so many things for us, and it is not being unseen. So we thank you. We salute you.
I appreciate you for having me.
Thank you, my brother. Catch you later. Peace.